Good morning. Welcome to the Old School podcast about the American education system and all of its quirks and qualities and foibles and what have you. But we also dabble in other things as we will today. And with me in that endeavor is my good friend, Dr. Stephen Bourgeois. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Herr Miller. And it's not morning. It's evening. You're in Florida, and by East Coast Standard Time, it would be 8 p.m.
Yes, I guess I just did it by rote there. Just
I
went
guess
with
so. You're kind of phoning it in, literally, tonight.
Well, I am in the Animal Kingdom Lodge at Disney World. I've got wild animals outside of my window here. Lord knows what they'll be doing while I'm sleeping. I fear that they might be conspiring against me, but we'll just have to play it by ear.
Okay. 1 second, Herr Miller. I'm hitting pause.
Okay.
So tell me this again. You're in Florida, and why would you be in Florida? I lost the train of thought.
Jeez. So, well, the first part is we've been here for 2 weeks now,
Okay.
and
We, you and your family.
me and my family, my in-laws, and so the first week basically was the Thanksgiving holiday. We spent that with my wife's family
Okay.
in Naples, Florida. Very lovely area. One of the funniest things, my daughter goes, we were driving through Naples, and my daughter goes, "There's a lot of fancy cars here." And I told her, I said, "That's because there's a lot of fancy people here." And indeed, there are quite a few fancy people in Naples. So we spent the first week there, and then Saturday after Thanksgiving, we drove to Orlando. And Sunday began my daughter's Disney extravaganza. 4 days of action packed rides, excitement, thrills, and the stoking of imagination that may never, ever die out.
Wow. Well, so your father and your wife is mother of the year right now. Everybody's happy.
Well, I did scam out of the first day of Disney by going to a Buccaneers game in Tampa, but but other than that, I think I've held my own.
Isn't that like on the other side of the state?
Well, yes, but across the peninsula, it's only about an hour, so
Oh,
it worked out all right.
well, that was big of you, here, Miller. But then you actually stepped on the park. Or were you in the hotel room the whole time?
So I've been to 3 parks, and so what we're doing today is we're doing a collage of little audio bits of me. And it must be said that in doing these audio bits, there is an attempt by me to purposely be funny and snarky and a little dismissive of the whole experience. But I have to say, it's still not for me. I still have no desire to return here. But I will say that I got more enjoyment out of this than I thought I would. And primarily just because I get a chance to see my daughter having fun and, that sort of thing. But there were a couple of or a couple of events that I did that I found to be quite interesting.
Okay, because the clips, and I just listened to the last one a few minutes ago. You sound like you were a prisoner counting the days and putting notches in the wall.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I think in general, this place is not for me. But like I said, I would be disingenuous if I did not admit that there weren't some aspects of this that I found appealing. There weren't some things that we did that I found interesting.
So, is there a prohibition against drinking at Disney World?
No, as a matter of fact, like for example, at EPCOT, which has like the little neighborhoods that represent different countries, it's become a thing where people drink the world and they just basically go from one community to another, quote unquote, community. You go from Germany to Morocco to what have you, and you just basically drink at each. It's a pub crawl, and it's
Yeah.
done within the context of these different countries, as it were. And so quite the contrary. This is not your granddaddy's Disney. This is quite something different. And there's even T-shirts. I say, well, you walk around, you see people with T-shirts saying "drinking the world" or "drink around the world" or what have you. And so Disney is. they're owning it. So
Well, your recordings were memorable, and we're going to share those with our audience. Um, I do. It sounded like you were dead sober, though. I mean, were you imbibing, going from country to country?
no, because I mean, you're with your daughter. She's basically we what we did was is that we determined what we were going to do based upon what she wanted to do.
Okay.
Because I certainly don't have an ulterior motive here. I'm just here, fulfilling my paternal obligations of taking my daughter to Disney. But and so I mean, I can drink anywhere. Yes, it would be kind of cute to be able to do it in these little quote unquote countries, but ultimately, this was more about what my daughter wanted to do, and so therefore, that we stuck with that plan.
Oh, it's very, very kind of you to do that here, Miller. So, if you were left to your own devices, though, I just, it's the romantic in me thinking that you'd be walking around Disney World with a cocktail the whole time.
That would be a very dandy-like thing to do, just kinda like, you can imagine with a top hat and a cane
Right.
and just carrying a mixed drink, although I'm not a cocktail guy, but I mean, carrying something around. I don't know if you can carry stuff around, but, I would think not, but still.
They probably let you're allowed to wear a smile. That's about it.
Man, there's so many strange things about this place, and like I said, and I have to make sure the audience knows, our lovely audience. If Disney is your thing, don't take any of this personally. Because again, I'm kind of, um, as the Brits say, I'm kind of taking the piss out of Disney a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm purposefully being snarky, but the snark does come from a real place. There's some really weird things happening here, and I don't get it. I don't understand it. Perhaps I'm just not the kind of personality that does or that would. But but I'm also kind of playing that up just a tad for comedic value to whatever extent there is comedic value in these little vignettes.
Okay. So now they know that these things are going to be funny, and they'll be prepared.
And they're not going to be funny.
Um,
I,
I thought about editing either music or a laugh track, but I don't have the technical skills to do either.
if
Um,
any of our lovely listeners do, then that might please reach out.
well, why don't we consider this the intro? We'll hit pause, and then we're going to do an outro as well. Uh,
Okay,
but you can sign off for now, and it's probably easier if we actually sign off of the meeting too, and just jump right back on. Does that sound good, Herr Miller?
sounds good.
All right, signing off.
All right.
All right, a couple observations from Disney World. One, they expect you to give your fingerprint when you walk in. I don't like that. I don't go for that. I think it's intrusive. I think it's too much information. They don't need my fingerprint. And what are they comparing it against? They don't have my fingerprint from beforehand. So what's the point of doing it this time? I don't know. There's a lot of groups in matching shirts. It looks like a bunch of bachelorette parties. Of course, I understand that it's probably an easy device to keep track of everybody. But there's some very peculiar people wearing some very peculiar shirts around this place. And our last immediate observation, there's so much talk about everything being just perfect and just nice and just happy and all that stuff. It reminds me of the 60s British television show, The Prisoner, where he was kept basically in a prison, but because everything worked well and everything was perfect and everything was nice and everyone was nice, everything was clean, you were expected to just deal with this prison. I'm getting somewhat that same sensation right now. I know it's not a prison, but at different moments today, it's kind of felt like one. Signing off.
So here we are among the yelling and screaming of children at EPCOT, one of the
more well thought of parks in Disney. This is where you will find all of the little neighborhoods from various countries. Right now, I am smack dab in the middle of Paris. And while it's all fake, it's beautiful. One of the observations I have this morning, surely more to come, is the amount of frantic rushing around, period. People are walking faster than they have ever walked in their regular lives. And they are doing so usually expecting 4-year-olds to keep up because they're practically dragging these kids along. At first, I didn't understand why there were so many kids who seemed old enough to walk and certainly big enough to walk, sitting in baby carriages or strollers. Now I know it's a executive decision by the parents. Hey, listen, these kids are not going to be able to keep up. We need them on wheels so that we can move faster. And there's just the adds to the general frantic nature of everything. I know you spend a lot of money. You want to make sure you ride the rides that you want to ride without having to wait that long. But it's out of control. One of the things that I can't help but notice as you hang out here in Disney is that everything is designed for the convenience and comfort of the individual. And of course, to the dollar of Disney. It is shocking. One, how much everything costs. And two, that everything does cost. But the only thing I have found that does not cost is the various transports. And those transports, be it bus or boat or ferry, lends to an element of precision-like, clockwork-like effectiveness and efficiency that it boggles the mind. This is a well-oiled machine. And the machine is for everyone to get what they want to do and for Disney to get every dollar they can. But I'm a capitalist. I don't begrudge them. But it is crazy.
Okay, don't be blocking people, guys. Watch out.
So I recently heard that the average daily attendance at Disney is 150,000 people a day. And when you multiply that over the course of a summer, it is shocking to comprehend how much money we're talking about here that is made. But clearly, they also pump a lot of money into this place, period. Just got out of the French bakery where there was plenty of screaming children. I'm not judging, that's just the way it was. As a point of interest, this cafe is supposed to be a facsimile of a cafe in Paris. In France, kids don't yell. They are French parents have one cardinal rule, and that is their kid are not allowed to make noises in public. And so I found it interesting in a place that was meant to represent France that we had screaming children. But someone might consider that criticism a bit reaching, and I'll grant you that. The food was incredible, though. I'll give you that. I think one of the things that is the hardest to get used to when you go to Disney World is the sheer cacophony of noise. This could be people talking, babies crying, music blaring, fireworks going off, sirens going off, bells and whistles going off. It is shocking the level of noise that this place produces. They make a big deal about how they're all earth-friendly and conservation-minded or what have you. I guarantee you, whatever they're doing to save the planet is being offset by the amount of noise that they're pumping out on a regular basis. As someone who doesn't hear well, it's shocking how much I do hear, and I don't know what else to do about it, because when you're here, you're stuck in it. And I'd say you almost become desensitized to it, but at least for me, that has not been the case. This place it could be the happiest place in the world. I know as hell it's the noisiest place in the world. Yeah. Okay, I get if you're at Disney that you would wear a shirt that says Disney on it. I can even understand someone wearing a shirt that had Mickey and Minnie with the word Disney on it. If you're an adult, I can understand that. Because when we go to sporting events, do we not wear shirts with our team's logo and likeness and maybe even the mascot on it or what have you? And of course, everything's fair game for the kids because, well, they're kids. And as I've been told multiple times, this is the happiest place on earth, and certainly a kid should be allowed to be happy. Where I draw the line is where some people dress, it's almost cosplay at this point. And because the whole intent of the Disney cosplay is basically childhood, it has the effect of infantilizing these people. And there's just something creepy about it. There's something creepy about grown adults wearing clothes to mimic that of a Minnie Mouse-like character. It's just creepy. It's just wrong. There's something wrong here. At an underground level, and really not really underground, it's blatantly out in the open, is a trading network taking place at Disney involving Disney pins. Now, these pins could represent characters. They could represent the different Disney parks around the world. But this is a serious business. Right now, I'm recording this in a courtyard where about an hour ago, the first person started laying out their pins. And within seconds, people were flocking to that person, and then other people began laying out their pins. This is a serious business. It's serious in the sense that you can see people really taking it seriously about which pens they get and which pens they want and what they're willing to trade. But it's not unlike what my wife and I found out when we went to the Vancouver Olympics in 2010, that there's also an Olympic pen bartering system that was pretty robust. So just another element of the world of Disney, pen trading. If you're going to have a theme park, there are worse things to center it around than the culture and history. So to that end, EPCOT might be my favorite park of the ones I have visited, and certainly the one I will visit tomorrow. More on that later. EPCOT, which stands for the Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, is most known for its various little England, little Canada, little Germany, little France, little Japan, little everything. And to this degree, I think anything that teaches people about other cultures and other traditions can't be all that bad. To make matters even more authentic, most of the people that are staffed in these areas are typically from those countries. And I guess if you wanted to beat people down with cultural questions, which I am prone to do from time to time, you could do that. And so of all of the parks that I have seen so far and all the things that I've experienced thus far at Disney, the thing I can most get my head around is EPCOT. So it's not all bad. There's a lot bad, but it's not all bad. Here I am at Animal Kingdom. It's like a gigantic zoo. Now, normally zoos depress me because I feel bad for the animal being cooped up into small areas. And while the areas here are much larger, and it is cool seeing them, it's still a prison. It can be the nicest of prisons, but it's still a prison. But, of course, anytime you see animals, it's fun, it's great, it's neat. And people here certainly care about the animals that they are charged with. But like I said, it just comes down to it being a zoo. And on some level, it kind of makes me sad. But like I said, cool for my daughter to see the animals, cool for all the other little kids to see it. They got these safari rides that you can take. And so it's not that bad. I think in the end, I'd still say Disney is a pass. EPCOT is probably my favorite. And there's certainly some great people here trying to do great things and trying to present great experiences for visitors, just not for the likes of me. And if I never come back here again, it'll be too soon. So that's it for all the observations. I have plenty of observations, but that will probably have to wait for our very last episode when, if we get canceled, we get it canceled, So anyway, later.
Well, we're back. As I told you, they weren't funny, but they were definitely snarky. And so if you find comedy and snark, then yes, it was funny. But there's my impressions of Disney World.
Wow, you sounded a lot like a very young Stephen Wright, the comedian. Just saying these things with no emotion, and I've never heard you. At times you would get animated, but others I felt like you were in a room and you couldn't speak because people were watching you.
Well, it is a bit. You do start to feel a little kind of I don't know what the right word is. A little conscious.
Self-conscious?
Well, yeah, a little self conscious about the fact that you are speaking into a phone and basically making fun of what everyone else around you is enjoying. And so, and so you start to get lower and lower as far as your tone of voice, because you don't want to be that person that someone later on goes, you wouldn't believe the guy I heard talking on his phone. He's ripping everything about Disney. Why is he even here? And it's a fair question, but I mean, it just, as we mentioned in the intro, we said this was more about my daughter than about me. And so with my daughter, I tried to make sure that this was about, having a good time doing things with her. I spared her the snark, and I saved it for our lovely audience.
That's great. Have you asked your daughter if she's enjoyed herself?
Oh, she's been over the moon. I mean, um, she's never been one to be overly um, kind of expressive about things, about her emotions or what have you. But I mean, on several occasions, myself, my wife, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, we've been the recipient of spontaneous hugs,
Wow.
just because she's just so over the moon about the whole entire experience. And so, insofar as every parent wants that for their kid, then you can't really be too annoyed by the whole experience. But I still found ways to be be annoyed. I just didn't express my annoyance to my daughter.
Okay. So I have a task for you here, Miller, as we
Yes.
sign off.
Yes.
I'd like you to make one more audio clip, and this will be your daughter signing off and saying what kind of a great time she had, and we'll put that at the very end of the episode before we listen to our out music. Is that something we could do?
Oh yeah, I say we can do that. I can shoot that to you tomorrow.
She'll do it tomorrow. Isn't she coming home like in like 5 minutes or something?
I don't know. Yeah, she is coming home pretty soon, but
Oh,
she's got other things on her docket for this evening. But
okay. Well, I'm not going to publish this episode until I get that final clip to prove that she was here and she actually did have a good time, despite what you're saying, waxing whimsical about your parenting. Uh, so we'll be looking for that on the old school, and you can sign us off.
and I will sign you off. Thank you so much for everybody listening, putting up with all those ridiculous audio clips. But uh, stay tuned next week. Next 2 weeks, we got some great guests coming up. You don't want to miss it. Some great information, some great stories from the front line of education research, things of that nature. So that's coming up over the next couple of weeks. But until then, I shall say adieu, Herr Dr. Bourgeois.
Auf Wiedersehen, Herr Miller.
Well, as promised, we have a personal testimony to how much fun was had at Disney World with my daughter.
Hello, Father.
Hello, daughter. So, first of all, did you have a good time?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much.
All right. What was some of your favorite parts about this?
I loved Tower of Terror because I could breathe, but I couldn't breathe at the same time. We were just dropping so fast.
Sounds horrible.
No, it was amazing.
What else did you like?
I really, really, really liked this new ride that we went on actually tonight. And it was called Flight of Passage, where we rode on a banshee as part of the characters from the new movie Avatar. And it had a screen in front of us, and we were supported, and it was like you're actually flying in the world. And it was
So it's kind of like that soaring game?
yeah,
Soaring thing?
it was
Okay.
a lot like that.
All right. So, would you say this has been one of the most incredible experiences of your life?
It's been the most incredible experience in my life.
The most incredible experience.
Yes.
Well, there you go. From the horse's mouth, straight a personal testimony on one's reflections of time at Disney, the most exciting time in her life. Thank you, daughter.
Thank you, Father.